Do you think that agents themselves are perhaps feeling a little bit nervous? How would you say agent confidence is?
I think a respectful nervousness of the circumstances is probably healthy, because I think that keeps you on your toes. I think that keeps you alert from a business sense and makes sure that you're at the peak of your powers. But the answer is very simple, Louisa. It depends whether you're talking to a top block agent or whether you're talking to someone else. And the top block in our industry isn't deep block. They're fewer and far between, but they are going to inherit the earth over the next 6 months, a year, because the others will give up or fall by the wayside. But Peter's lucky that his property academy tends to attract, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, the cream of the crop, because of Peter's status and everything else, and quite rightly so. And I tend to work with agents in that space as well. So I only perceive, and they only perceive, the opportunity that either the lack of confidence in their competitors versus their own ability to steer the ship, have a strategy, have a plan, understand what's coming down the road. Those guys will gain market share, but we're just moving from and to. And Ben used some beautiful words for me, which is paused. That doesn't mean stopped or ended, it just means it's on hold for a little bit. He used words like, we're resetting. Well, this happens, it's a cyclical thing, it happens from time to time, we're just going through the reset. It's temporary, it's not real. The agents that are preparing the from and to in their strategies and already now delivering new ways of doing things, deciding which instructions to take, valuing according to the marketplace, giving out advice in relation to finances and making sure that the buyer is properly put through a process before the offer's accepted and made sure that they can carry the transaction through. They will carry on selling properties in large numbers, and I'm certainly seeing better agents increase their market share. The biggest issue for me that we should be worried about is not really house prices. I think the two things that worry me a little bit is affordability, because they are an issue that has wider connotation, and transactional volumes. If those two things significantly come back, then obviously we've got some more structural issues to deal with. But if there are fewer agents sharing those transactional volumes, which I believe will go for the first time for a long time, we'll see the number of agents consolidate. As I myself broker deals and have got maybe 15 to 20 deals agreed now going through, that we'll see people exiting the market and being swallowed up by a bigger player. So we'll see consolidation. We will see, unfortunately, some bankruptcies. We will see some agencies give up or maybe move just into lettings or just into sales. We will see some of that, but it won't be the ones that are planning, the ones, and I'm not so sure whether they've been doing it for a year or 50 years is actually it might be a factor, but in reality, I think it's their mindset and their ability. I think it's great to have experience and be able to call upon the last recession, but even those that aren't, it doesn't mean that they're some of them are really bright young people that get it and they'll move forward with it. But I also want to make the point that I think it was the 20th of March 2020 when we were locked down, and the press said, I've got all the headlines, I kept them, because the headlines were we would have 30% unemployment. We went to zero unemployment virtually. We had headlines that said that we would see house prices, and the highest I can find is by 40% would reduce. We didn't. We saw house prices go up on average by 20-25%, depending on what region in the UK you're in. We saw headlines that said transactional volumes would drop to 400,000 to 500,000. They didn't. They peaked at 1.3 million. We saw headlines that said all sorts of ridiculous things around. We'd have the deepest recession since the 1930s. In fact, they called it a depression coming. Well, okay, we might now mathematically be in a recession, but I think by an economist scale, it's the lowest form of recession you could be in right now. It might bite a little deeper.
I believe the term that they use is a technical recession, and they haven't actually called it yet because they don't have enough data.
A technical recession. But the opportunity is really simple. A great man in my life, Peter will know him well, always told me that every market makes a market, and there is a market. It doesn't matter how bad it becomes, there will be someone that has to sell because finances are forcing them to. I think Ben was alluding to the fact we're going to see lots of instructions coming on where people have to reassess the cost of their property they're in and their mortgage payments. They're going to come to the market. Well, a good agent will pick those up, they'll market them correctly, they'll price them correctly, and they'll sell them. And we're also I'm seeing on the ground floor properties that are owned by older people coming to the market where there isn't a mortgage involved. They now want to downsize to release equity, And they're bringing to the market the very stock that's been missing. And it's like a magnet on the people that are on pause. It's like a magnet that says, hi, I'm Mr. sort of in my mid-30s, early 40s, want to move up market. And I know I don't like the interest rates and I'm reading some bad press, but I really do want to live in that avenue over there that's got the trees in it. I'm going to go and find out from MAB whether I can afford to buy it. And guess what? They probably can. And if they can, they'll buy it. All the good agents need to do is go after that marketplace.